Hello, friend. I was wondering when you might stop by. Come, take a seat, warm your hands by the fire. Welcome to Stories from the Hearth, the podcast for tall tales and fantastical fiction. Short stories, the likes of which you might once have heard a bard tell to a group of villagers like you, gathered around the fire. This is an experiment in independent storytelling, a safe and inclusive space for you to relax, dream, explore and challenge yourself. Join me, Cal Bannerman, on the last Sunday of every month around this campfire, roaring in a clearing in the woods beneath a star-speckled sky, and lose yourself in a genre-bending tale of history, romance, science fiction, or fantasy. These are tales to transport you, doorways into another world. Stories from the Hearth is ad-free and free to listen to. Its existence depends entirely on the financial and moral support of its listeners. To support the podcast and earn yourself exclusive perks such as early access, behind the scenes, bonus stories, shoutouts, live chats, signed copies of the stories, and more, join me on Patreon from as little as £2 or $3 by heading to patreon.com/Stories from the Hearth podcast, or by hitting the link in the description below. My warmest thanks to those of the novice narrator tier and higher who helped to make this community possible. Mully, Ruthie, Vivian, Nick, Sandy, Jane, Rob, Charlie, and Jen. Thank you. Now, gather close, for I've got a story to tell. This is episode 16, La Ville de Nuages, the city of black clouds. La Ville de Nuages looks pretty tonight. True to form, the thick layers of cloud in which its townships float ripple black as obsidian in their wake. Starlight flickers in patches through breaks in the cirrocumulus laid up on satin blue. Living up here, there's rarely a barrier to your view. And from the crow's nest of Detective Rosa Dubois' Botel apartment, you can see all the way to where the clouds engulf the sky. In every direction, your horizon is a canvas of dark purple wash. Rosa's often regaled you with stories of her time on Earth, living amongst the landfolk. You've watched her grow teary-eyed at the very mention of mountains, rivers and trees, but you've never quite understood her nostalgia. Now that she's been touched with magic, what could she possibly want with the world down below? The townships of La Ville de Nuages glisten and glitter like pleasure cruisers in the black. Some are moored in the same patch of sky the ancestors of their inhabitants first claimed, half a century ago, after the division left them changed. Other ships sail the clouds in and around the anchored homes in slow, measured arcs, whilst still more use the air currents to soar the slipstreams above and below town. The effect is that of a swirling solar system of enchanted boats, sparkling in the night. Now and again, as Rosa stands with a glass of rye in hand, watching over her precinct, a shard of moonlight cuts the cloud and captures one of these boats in perfect silvery white. Just now, over there on the edge of the college district, a late-night magic class is shone upon in the upper story of some professor's dingy dinghy. The prof illuminated for a moment as she transforms herself from woman to barn owl and back again. Her students watch on with sullen faces. One of them, snoozing way in back, has conjured up a holographic clone to stop the teacher noticing their snores. Rosa laughs dryly in the high wind and lights up another smoke.
Strange old place, ain't it?
She says in her peculiar earthen accent. From the breast pocket of her overcoat, you poke your fluffy head. You'd been dozing in and out of sleep yourself, lulled by the softly trembling lights of the city and the gentle caress of the moon. Disturbed, you wrinkle your nose and wipe the sleep from your eyes with the back of a licked paw.
Stranger than your only friend being a goddamn talking guinea pig?
You grunt. Rosa scoffs.
Friends tend to be tall and furless and have posable thumbs, little one. And anyway, I got friends. You think I ain't got friends?
She shakes her head and exhales a plume of blue tobacco smoke like a tidal wave. From your pocket perch, there's no avoiding it. It fills your lungs and waters your eyes, causes you to sneeze and sputter. Not that you'd let her know, but the rush is actually quite exhilarating. Your tiny body feels alive and fizzing like space rocks and moon dust.
Jeez, Rosa, watch what you're doing, huh?
You holler, trying to sound as manly as possible.
Thought you'd quit those damn things anyhow. What's with that?
The detective goes to answer, but before she can, a yacht from the pleasure district zips by overhead, too close for comfort. The thrum of its engines buffets your botel, rocking it side to side so as Rosa has to tilt her whiskey glass in time just to keep from spilling the fiery liquid all over you.
Now that would be a rush,
you think.
Wonder how much people liquor I could take before it killed me.
As the roar of the ship's motor fades, the sound is replaced by the hoots and jeers of a dozen naked teens at the aft deck, drinking and fornicating and generally having a whole ton of fun at Rosa's expense.
I ought to book those miscreants,
hisses Rosa.
I ought to book you miscreants,
she shouts into the wind, receiving a set of bared cheeks in reply.
I'd be well within my rights, you know.
Oh, I know, detective,
you say.
But hell, what's the use?
Your companion looks genuinely sad. You hate to see her this way. Her heartbeat, even through a t-shirt and thick overcoat, thumps forlornly. It is a great solemn drumbeat tolling out a tune of apathy. Rosa hasn't investigated a crime in 3 months, and despite all you've done trying to keep her entertained, dancing the even going so far as to create miniature mysteries around the botel for her to solve, you know it's getting to her. But what can you do?
Never any crime in a town of magic users,
you think.
Nope, it's true. Ville de Noir is cleaner than a freshly bleached asshole.
Sensing Rosa's sinking spirits, you try and pull her attention away from the youths, still sexing each other with their magic parts.
Rosa, you listening, hun? I thought you'd had given up the smokes. What's with that?
Iggy, leave it out, would you?
She sighs.
Last case was ages ago now.
Her words are slightly slurred.
Fella Mickelson over at the grocery store reports the theft of 4 cases of premium vodka. Premium. Want to know what happened that vodka got to? Turns out there was a hole in his stockroom wall and the vodka was being stolen by
a pack of mangy magic bar rat bastards. That's who.
A pack of mangy magic bar rat bastards, that is who. Very funny, Iggy.
The detective sighs.
So you heard the story before, huh? You surprised? Who the hell else do I got to tell it to, eh? No one wants me here. I don't belong here.
Hey!
You squeak.
Don't talk like that. I want you here. You hear me? I want you.
Rosa shrugs. She sips her whiskey, then pulls long and hard on her cigarette, smouldering in the night.
Huh.
She says at last.
And you're still confused as to why I'm back smoking? Jeez, the closest thing I've got to a pal is you. And the most exciting thing that's happened since I got here is a bunch of damn bewitched rodents done got a taste for Black Cloud liquor.
You roll your eyes, still trying to get a rise out of her.
Still, Rosa, the smoke makes me feel funky, old pal, and it makes this here coat pocket smell like old fart.
You've such a way with words, Igor, you know that?
Under your breath, too soft for Rosa to hear, you say,
I know I don't know if you's taking the mick or you actually hates me like you sound like you do. Aw, shucks.
Rosa takes a last drag on her pre-rolled, puts it out on the circular handrail of the mast-top and flicks it with the prevailing wind. The detective lets it fly a ways, then clicks her finger. With a tiny pop, the cigarette butt vanishes mid-air.
What? Where did it go?
You squeak. Rosa grins.
Oh, teleported it. Trash can at the end of my street back on Earth.
Well, looky here,
you holler, satisfied at last to see your companion smile. Rosa's cheeks blush a rosy red.
Mrs. Magician, is it? You're coming along just fine, my gal.
I ain't your gal, Iggy. And yeah, I've been practicing, so what?
So what? So good. Might not be in such a pickle as I'm forecasting you'll be when some real crime comes along.
Rosa's smile dissipates as quickly as it had appeared, and silently you curse yourself for souring the mood. She scoffs again.
Oh, and pray tell, Monsieur Cobaye Detective, what does real crime look like in La Ville de Nuages? In a place where your every need can be seen to with the wave of a wand?
Oh, no one uses wands anymore, Rosa.
Where whatever you desire can be plucked from thin air. Where seer mages and divination witches can read your every thought before you can even contemplate criminalising the damn place. What does real crime look like in a place like that?
You gnaw at your claws for a minute, pretending not to have heard the frustration in her voice. From your knapsack, which is really just a dried-out prophylactic tied around you like a bandolier, you take a comb, which is really the head of Rosa's old toothbrush, and with it sweep your fur back into place. You are a long-haired guinea pig with a creamy white coat broken by a patch of caramel brown over your right eye. You wear your head fur in the immaculate pompadour of a 1950s rockabilly earth dweller, and, with a lick of wax along the bristles of the toothbrush head, you make sure not a single strand of it is out of place. Just then, something catches your eye. A shape, dark and large, moving slowly in shadow. It seems to prowl behind a thin wisp of alto nimbus.
Well,
says Rosa, not noticing what you've just seen.
what does count for real crime up here? I'd fancy a slice of it if you don't mind. I am trained police, after all.
Real crime you couldn't handle, you tell her. Real crime would sit you in your two-bit butt-flap union suit wearing hiney, you short-sighted son of a gun. I'm serious, Rosa. You should stop wishing for what you don't know nothing about. You ain't ready for real crime.
Oh, pish!
Spits Rosa.
If I don't get a real case soon, I swear to God, what the hell's the point me being here? Back home, back down there, I had real cases, real crime. I was renowned, don't you know? Up here ain't nothing but nothing. Give me some real crime or let me go home.
The detective pulls back her shoulder and launches her empty whiskey tumbler into the night, the momentum dislodging your grip on the lip of her coat pocket. For a moment, your view of the strange shape behind the clouds is lost. In your haste to re-emerge, you dig a pinprick claw through the coat's thin material and into the flesh around Rosa's nipple. She shrieks.
Ah! What the hell, pervert?
Back up in the night sky, you can no longer see anything moving. Nothing untoward in sight, just plain old La Ville de Noir with its flying shipbuildings, magic lighting, and population of sages. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Aw, the hell ain't back with that talk, Rosalita. You know well as I do I ain't interested in you giant lumbering furless monstrosities. Look,
You swish a greased palm over your pompadour again.
All I'm saying is, you ain't been here a peck more'n a half year. Am I right? Sure, it may seem quiet to y'all compared to all the bothering goes down on Earth, with your murdering, and your looting, and your cajoling, and your adultering.
I mean, cajoling's hardly a crime, but...
You dig your nail into her chest again, though this time, deliberately.
What I'm a-saying is, you're a GD, law-defying anomaly, Rosalia. All these folks here...
You gesture a paw out into the expanse of sky, occupied by the floating, hovering, flying town and its twinkling lights.
They're one of two things. They's either first-generation magic users, meaning they got touched during the division and they been up here practicing their ways ever since, or they's born up here, sons and daughters and sonsters of magic users who ain't known nothing but magic all their livelong days. You, on the other hand, well, by the mighty beard of the arch-pig in the sky, I'll be damned if I know how you got your powers.
You can tell Rosa's only half listening. You check to see if the thing you thought you saw is to be seen, but the clouds around Mary Sue's swashbuckling botel are all the same sultry purple as always.
Oh, look, either way, Rosa, to the folks in this town, the good old people of La Ville de Nuages Noir, you're...
You can say it, Iggy.
Sighs Rosa.
Enough folks have called me it already.
You weigh up what you're about to say in your mind, but can find no easier way to say it than just to come straight out plumb and say it.
I sure am sorry for saying so, Miss Detective Inspector Rosalita, ma'am, but you's... Well, the folks around here, you's Eek!
Your last words are lost in a tiny shriek, as across the bow of the botel a mass of shadow rolls in. Rosa's eyes flash. It's the same shadowy shape you'd thought you'd lost behind the clouds, only now you realise it had never been behind them. It is them.
Rosa?
You ask.
Yes, Pig.
What is that?
Beats me, pal. But it's sure as shit in violation of at least 3, maybe 4 traffic code violations.
And then the sky opens up, and like a patrolman's prying flashlight, a beam of moonshine strikes the cloud form.
Holy
shit.
By the light of the moon, the thing is revealed in technicolor. It shimmers with the dusty light of an opal. Black, blue, bruised purple, glittering like gemstone, it is a cloud unlike any you've seen before. And at its center is a woman.
Detective?
Yup.
Tell me you're seeing what I'm seeing.
Even through the pocket of her overcoat, you're certain that Rosa can feel you trembling. Suddenly, she gasps, and you see the whites of her knuckles gripping to the crow's nest railing. Wiping anxious tears from your eyes, you squint into the night. The woman steering her cloud thing past Mary Sue's looks like she could be anywhere, from her mid-30s to her late 60s. Her skin is as ashen as her chariot is shady, and the hair she lets fly out behind her like a cape is blonder than gold dust. She wears a 3-piece suit of tweed, a crisp-looking vanilla shirt, and a cravat of purple silk, and below all this, a pair of flip-flops. What's most unusual about her, though, is not what she's wearing, but what she appears to be doing with her mouth. If your eyes can be believed, and as a police familiar, you sure hope they can, the cloud-born witch is actually breathing the black smoke of her ride into existence. As the pair of you watch on, fingering a mental Rolodex of wizarding police code in search of the laws you know she must be breaking, something even more troubling starts to happen. In the wake of the witch's shadow ship, the sky begins to tear itself apart. The process is slight. At first, all you can see is a slender line of light, as perfectly lucent as a lock of the witch's hair. stretching out behind the passing cruiser. But if you know nothing else, you know that it ain't how the sky should look in the wake of a ship. Very faintly, you hear Rosa cast a spell of detection under her breath. It's a rookie error, but she's too fast for you. Before you can fathom what she's about to attempt, let alone warn her against it, her spell is flying arrowways toward the black chariot. Unsurprisingly, the detection spell glances off the witch's ship with a burst of furious light, refracting in 1,000 different directions. A shard of it hits Rosa square between the eyes, another catching you right in the chest. For a blinding moment, your mind is filled to bursting with police speak, garbled and nonsense. It is a riddle, a code, an unintelligible language of archaic symbols and ley lines. And then, for just a split second, a singular, terrifying idea. It is the idea that the witch, piloting a cloud composed of her own dark magic, is pulling apart the very fabric of the universe. As Rosa's meager detection spell echoes off into the night, 3 things happen at once. The witch, detecting your detective companion's detection magic, detects someone detecting her and whips her head around in your direction. At the same time, Rosa ducks below the lip of the mast top. Secondly, the moonlight which had illuminated the witch's strange and unworldly machinations in such timely fashion disappears behind the clouds again, shrouding you, Rosa, and the witch in the darkness of a town lit only by faint neon. And lastly, though you cannot for love nor money tell where to, the witch whips her cloud thing around and powers it off into the night, faster than a rat up a dead guy's butthole, as your mother used to say. Behind her, the sky burns. For a long moment, nobody says nothing. The air crackles with the tremendous energy of the witch's passing, and you watch as Rosa runs her fingers up her arms, feels the goose flesh of them, the hairs all stood on end. La Ville de Nuages seems suddenly unsettled, and unsettling in the woman's wake.
Igor?
Yes, ma'am?
You know that real crime you were telling me about?
Yes, ma'am?
Rosa giggles.
I think we might have found ourselves a slice after all.
You are too stunned by the weight of it all to respond.
This is it, Iggy. My chance. A case. A real case.
You gulp, a guinea-sized gulp.
Yes, ma'am.
You are too young to remember the event they call the division, but you've heard stories. They say the sky split open with a crack which shook the entire world. At first, those humans in the know mistook it for a rare astrological event, perhaps a brightening of the Milky Way as a result of some cyclical star death. Human historians said there had been telltale signs of such a happening, hidden on old tablets, coded into runic inscriptions on temple walls, buried in almanacs from the Middle Ages. Theologians and preachers said their holy books had foretold of it, that it was a second coming of their lords and saviours. Even after the magic mingled with the first of the humans, and they saw what it meant to be a mage, the holy men persisted, said that their prophets, their Jesuses, Mohammeds, Ezekiels, and Vishnus had been but the first of the magi, imbued with the magic of the gods many thousands of years before. Of course, an equal number of them argued that the magic had been sent from the netherworld, from hell, Kuzimu, Gimokodan, Kur, Ufern, Tartarus, the great lake of fire and ice in the darkest bowels of the earth, from Saturnus himself. Naturally, the animals were the first to clock on to what was really happening. After all, Your kind had been here long before any human first grunted its way to language. Guinea pigs, whales, eagles, dragonflies, you'd all been there to watch as those heavy-browed ancestors of the raving preachers and stuffy historians kindled fire from rock, grass and wood and called it God. The animal kingdom was one ancient, immortal organism of sentient life, of which the human branch was but an afterthought, added after the afterword to the epilogue of the very wordy, largely unmagical, Book of Time. In other words, you'd been there, if not personally, since the dawn of it all, and you knew magic when you saw it. Magic like the sky splitting in two all around the world, and a fine rainfall of dust, rainbow-like as black fire opal in the shimmering sun falling to earth. Magic like all the animals who ate fruit or prey coated in this strange stuff, suddenly springing to consciousness as if waking one day from a lifelong dream. Magic like the sudden pull that first wave of enchanted animalia felt toward the magic-using humans. A pull like a lasso around the heart, the calling of a painter to paint, of one tectonic plate to another, or of a river to the sea. Slow, immense, inescapable. But the humans couldn't see the dust, glittering like amylite right under their noses, and so they got confused. When the sky closed back up some weeks after the division began, that's when the very first of the newly magic made their homes in the clouds. To be closer to the rift from which they'd drawn their new abilities, you suppose. After a while, of course, it became a matter of necessity for all magic users to join them. As it turns out, regular humans don't much like discovering there can be anything more powerful or advanced than themselves. They got scared, angry, upset. They advocated war against the bewitched. They put sanctions on their communities. Being so early on in the history of the division, the witches and wizards of the time often found themselves outnumbered. Many even saw themselves as abnormal, ugly, and unwanted. What's more, their magic was raw, their power unharnessed. The majority of them didn't know how to use it to their advantage, whilst a small minority could not contain it, sometimes hurting the regular humans around them in their efforts simply to survive. Conflict loomed, catastrophe, even genocide seemed inevitable. And then, one day, all the magic users all across the planet, from the smallest ladybug to the tallest witch, seemed to blink right out of existence. Realizing that no treaty could ever be signed, no agreement ever reached, between a human who feels cornered and afraid and a magi with untold power, the mages living in the clouds had decided to make it look as if everyone magic had simply gone, when in actual fact they had but blipped them up to a new home in the sky. Ever since then, humans have continued to live and fight, love, fuck, lounge about and die down there on the ground, in blissful ignorance of the 100 or so thousand wizarding folks a dozen miles above them. Until, that is, Rosa Dubois came to town. Rosa's room in Mary Sue's swashbuckling botel is a pigsty, which you can say without arousing offence from any pigs, since you are technically one of them. The room consists of a single unmade bed, littered with empty noodle pots, beside a houseplant that even the most modest amount of attention, or the simplest of spells, could have saved. In one corner, an open kitchen unit flickers like a horror scene of gravy and spaghetti beneath a faulty halogen strip, whilst opposite it, the backed-up drains of a toilet shower combo shimmers mirage-like with an unwashed stench. In the dusty mirror on the far wall, lit by a washed-out neon green from the street outside, you catch the detective's reflection. Sallow, pot-bellied, saggy-boobed, baggy-eyed, frizzy-haired and unshowered, Rosa Dubois wears a long dark duster over her malnourished frame. You can just see yourself peeking out from the duster breast pocket, and even from here you're the best looking thing about the whole picture. Beneath the overcoat, the detective sports a high-waisted pair of combat trousers, also black, a white long-sleeved t-shirt with a fetching red and yellow mustard and ketchup stain down the front, pleather biker gloves, and a pair of white sneakers. Rosa stands staring at herself for a long time. Anxiously, you whistle up at her, 2 claws against your tongue.
Say, you think we oughta, get a move on, Rosie? I don't know about you, but I got a funny feeling we don't want to waste too much time with old Ari and Alice on the run out there. We gotta at least call this in, get the rest of the force out, looking for...
No.
Rosa blinks out of her reverie, and the severity of her voice catches you off guard.
No.
She repeats.
Not gonna call it in, Iggy. Fuck that. This one's mine. My chance to prove myself to all these magic-born bastards. My chance to actually make a name for myself. Show these people what Detective Dubois is all about.
In the mirror, you watch her puff out her chest.
Rosa, you seem to be misunderstanding, my love. Witches like that, witches with that kind of power, they ain't 10 a penny. You can't just slap a pair of handcuffs on them and,
I'm sorry,
Rosa butts in.
but are all familiars so sanctimonious? I think I know how to apprehend a perp, you furry wee bossack.
You grit your teeth.
Sanctimoniousness ain't have to be a part of the job, Rosalita, no. But then, most familiars ain't stuck with a half-earther suffering from a bad case of seasonal affective disorder for a companion, like.
I don't have seasonal affective.
Oh, no, that's right, you don't. It's me who's got seasonal affective disorder, and you're the season.
You try a light-hearted chuckle.
No, seriously, Rosa, you gotta hear me out. We need to call this thing in. At least we could get a few dozen patrolmen and the K9s on the case.
And that's another thing. How come the rest of the police in this damnable cloud country get canines for familiars, and here I am, lumped with an overgrown hamster?
Why, you bastard!
You clamp down on the side of Rosa's breast, with incisors like scissors. A little shamefully, you hope her scream might just reach the ears of some shamanic sergeant's canine familiar, and thus alert the force anyway.
Comparing the likes of me to a rootin', tootin' hamster, you living low in the pecking order, grumbling, rumbling, tumbling little mad damn. Why, I really oughta, I really do.
Gently, Rosa lifts you out of her jacket pocket, walks over and places you down on top of her bed. She gets down on her haunches, rubbing her boob, and breathes deeply.
Look, I'm going after this bitch Han Solo, alright? Best I can do is call the station, let them know I'm gonna go tail a person of suspicion, okay? But I ain't giving the game away. No siree. Now, you can either come with me, or you can stay here.
You shrivel up your nose.
Rosa, you know you can't leave me. Physically, we cannot be separated now that we're joined. Else you'll lose... I'll lose... Oh, well, best not to think about that. Anyway, I'm with you all the way. You ain't just gotta be calling me names and such. No need to be a butthole,
What is it with you familiars and anuses?
What is it with you humans and not anuses?
You retort, wondering what the true antonym is for an asshole.
Butts are the hands of the animal world, my dear detective.
I'm not sure that comparison works.
Butt sniffing? Well, that's the handshakes. You can tell everything you need to know about a fella by the odor of his derriere. You detectives could do a lot worse to start employing the same technique to your own work,
You're insane.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Well, quit it.
Just saying is all.
Stop.
Just saying.
Rosa rolls her eyes back into her head, and you smile. Run down as she is, she looks $1 million in your eyes. Though she's deluded, it's just plain good to see your companion passionate about something after all this time. A familiar's connection to their companion is unequivocal, after all. It remains as strong as first love, come rain, hail, or shine. And yet, recently, you'd forgotten how good it felt to stand in the sun. You remember the first time you saw Rosa. You'd spent your entire, albeit short, life as an oddball, a magical animal without a companion, a pea without a pod, a butt without a nose to sniff it. And yet, though none of your 56 brothers or sisters ever believed you, you knew that you had the pool in you all along. You could feel it, ebbing and flowing over the months and years between your birth and Rosa's arrival, until one day it started getting stronger and stronger. So strong, it felt like you were going to explode, right there in a puff of fluff and viscera and longing. But instead, you followed the feeling. Left your home on the outskirts of a town somewhere above Earth in Chile, rented a skyboat the size of a human shoe, and used the feeling inside you like a compass. After a week of sailing, existing on only what grass you could find blowing in the wind, you ended up here, in la Ville de Nuages, and there you found Rosa. Presently, the detective produces her departmental badge from beneath a sea of crumpled receipts and cigarette packets. She pins the thing to her coat. It reads, Rosa Dubois, Inspecteur Détective, Département de Police de la Ville de Nuages. Beneath the sheen of the cop badge, Rosa seems to stand taller and broader than before.
Rosa, ain't you forgetting something? You ask her.
Oh, right.
From the bedside cabinet, the detective pulls out a set of handcuffs. Not just any handcuffs, of course, but handcuffs wrought by the most powerful warlocks of the sky world, designed and enchanted with magics divined from beyond the rift. The cuffs are bound by spells which, when put upon a magic user, robs them of their abilities.
The cuffs,
she says, nodding.
Right on. Can't forget the cuffs. Cuffs are important. Gotta cuff the bad guy, right? Round the ear. Cuff the wrists. Can't forget the cuffs.
You sure you want to be doing this alone, Captain?
Who, me? Sure. Dark magic. Black magic. I read all about it in the police handbook. First day they blipped me up here.
Mm-hmm. And, what did that police handbook say about that there necromancy?
You know.
You watch Rosa search for the words.
That it was... bad?
Outside, the sky rumbles with a far-off thunder, and the witchy green light trembles.
Well,
you say, sizing up the night ahead of you.
You ain't exactly wrong.
Welcome to Mary Sue's swashbuckling boat. Rent a room or walk the plank. How may I be of service? The girl behind reception doles out her spoonful of charm without taking her eyes from her magazine. To your and Rosa's left, the entire street-facing wall of Mary Sue's reception is a floor-to-ceiling aquarium, illuminated in blue. It teems with enchanted life. Currently, a corral of seahorses are being saddled by starfish jockeys and lined up for a race through the floating menagerie of typical aquarium decor. An Easter Island head, a treasure chest, a miniature volcano spouting real bubbles. It occurs to you that you've never yet seen a fish with a magi companion, and you wonder if your aquatic brethren live with the heartbreak you felt before you found Rosa.
Mary Sue?
Rosa tries, but the girl behind reception appears to be lost in tales of celebrity bromance and divorce. Rosa clears her throat.
Mary Sue? I could use a favour.
Slowly, the magazine descends, revealing the receptionist's face like a dial-up era web page, a few pixels at a time. The girl is young, maybe 15, with cherry red hair and magically enhanced features. Her eyes are black as coal, except for a very thin rim of white. Her cheeks blush pink with manga freckles, and her ears styled like those of elves, pierced to within an inch of their cartilage. The girl runs her eyes over Rosa, from head to toe and back again, all the while noisily chewing a big wad of pink bubblegum. She blows a bubble and lets it pop, deflating slowly back onto her tongue. With all the teenage affectation she can muster, the girl rolls her head around so that it faces a 6-foot hanging portrait of a battle-scarred pirate woman on the wall adjacent, then rolls her head back to face you. So Mary Sue isn't here right now? She's like sailing the 7 seas or whatever. I'm just like a receptionist, so I don't know. Do you like want a room or something? Rosa can feel you tensing up in her top pocket, can hear your frustrated mutterings. Instinctively, she starts rubbing the fur of your cheeks with her thumb and forefinger. Oh my god, have you got like a hamster familiar? That is so cute. Despite her words, the girl appears no more animated than before. Hey, who you calling? You start, your voice a pierced balloon. But mid-cry, Rosa covers your mouth with her hand.
Yeah, super cute.
Your companion answers.
Look, I'm in a bit of a hurry here. I just wondered if I could use your phone.
The girl frowns. Sorry, ma'am, but like, paying customers only, you know?
I am a... Lass, I've been living here the past 6 months. Haven't you seen me around?
The girl cocks her head to the side, blows out a bubble of gum the size of her modified face, then pops it. Oh my god, are you that like Earth woman or whatever? Oh, that is so random.
Well, I guess, kind of, yeah. Now, could I just use your phone? I need to call the station and Mary, well, whoever runs this place still hasn't fixed the line in my room.
Can't you just like telepath whoever you need to talk to? You are Spellaruscious, right? For the first time in this entire interaction, the girl lowers her magazine to the desk.
What? Oh, right. Yeah, sure. I'm magic, just new to it, you know. Still not great at the whole telepathing thing. Plus, the phone's just... I'm more comfortable on the phone. Could I, please...
The girl takes a deep breath in. She lets it out in one long sigh. Yeah, whatever. She begins rummaging under her reception desk, then among some papers piled next to her. She turns to the key rack nailed to the wall behind and stares at it inanely. Eventually, she turns back to you. God, wait here a minute. The receptionist spins round in her swivel chair and snaps a finger gun at the door behind her, painted pastel orange like the rest of the room. The door swings open and she slouches through. From in back come the sounds of a lackluster search.
This girl is really trying my patience, Rosalia, my friend.
Kids today, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, she re-emerges. Plonking herself back down in her chair, she swivels back to face you and drops the thing she's carrying onto the raised part of her reception desk. You look at it, aghast. It's a jockstrap.
What?
Rosa begins. Our phone is like missing or something. This'll just have to do, okay?
But
Starts Rosa again.
that's I can't phone anyone, no.
Oh my god, drones the receptionist, swishing an eye full of punch red fringe from her face. Have you ever like heard of patience? Oh my god. The girl stares at the jockstrap for a second, then snaps her fingers finger gun style like before. As far as Rosa can see, nothing happens. But you notice a sudden confluence of magic dust, the same opalescent stuff as fell from the sky during the division, amass itself around the penis protector. There, says the girl. Are you happy now? Rosa is lost for words.
It'll work, Rosa, you whisper. The girl's transfigurated it. It's a phone now.
Jesus HC, this place.
Mutters Rosa. Then to the receptionist.
Yeah, thanks, I guess.
Over by the desk, Detective Inspector Dubois stares at the back of the girl's magazine, then down at the offending object.
Just say the name of the person you want to call, you whisper, and the phone will do the rest.
Is this thing sanitary?
Asks Rosa of no one in particular. The girl lowers her magazine just enough to shoot your companion a venomous glare, then raises it again.
God damn it,
says Rosa. Tentatively, she picks up the spell-cast strap and puts it as close to her face as she dares. She turns her back on the receptionist.
La Ville de Nuages Noir police station?
She says into it. From the curved cup end of the phone, which is stained a worrying yellow, a dial tone plays. Rosa watches the seahorse race enter its final stretch.
Police, you're through to Priyanka.
Hey, hi. Hey, it's Rosa.
Rosa?
D.I. Dubois. You know, over at Mary Sue's. Rosa Dubois. The earther.
Oh, Rosa, dear. Right, yes. Hello, sweetheart. What can I do for you tonight? Ain't you over at the ball?
Hi. Look, I'm heading out on patrol ball. What? No, I don't know about no ball. I just need to speak to the sergeant. Is he about?
Oh, darling, no.
On the other end of the line, Priyanka laughs uproariously.
Oh, Sergeant Pepper, he ain't around. Hell, he's been so excited about this ball, he even barely been here these past few days, if you know what I'm saying.
I really don't. What are you talking about, a ball?
Sweetie, weren't you invited?
The operator sounds as if she smoked a pack of cigarettes for breakfast every day since she could talk.
Invited to what?
You can hear the impatience in Rosa's voice now. Her oddly placid earthen accent tends to grow a little deeper when she starts to get mad. You ready yourself to shout some expletives down the jockstrap if required.
Oh, my little zucchini flower. No one told you? There's a ball on tonight, up at City Hall. All the mage elders in Cloud Country is there. They got some big deal on tomorrow, meeting of minds or something, I don't know. Everyone in the department was supposed to get an invite. I don't know what happened to yours. Well, hell, I don't.
Priyanka's voice becomes inaudible as the sound of rustling papers fills the speaker.
God damn it.
Curses Rosa.
What do we do now?
Well,
you say, thinking on your feet.
Supposing you was a dark witch wielding enough power to mess with the fabric of reality. And supposing you was more in the loop than you are. In other words, supposing you knew about this convergence of all the sky's most powerful magic users. Well, where do you think you might go? Detective, my detective?
You choose your words carefully, edging Rosa toward the conclusion you've already drawn.
Oh, shit.
What's that, my tender stem broccoli?
Pipes up Priyanka over at Police HQ.
You say something? Oh, darling, blast it all to Buckfast and beyond. Darling sweetheart, I just found your invitation right here on my desk. Oh, under all this damn paperwork. I swears, I told that young punk waroo where to come by dropping by. Oh, Miss Dubois, you're going to have to forgive me.
Deputy Priyanka?
Yes, chicken?
When you say everyone is at that ball, who do you mean exactly?
Oh, everyone. The mayor of Ville, the mayor of Air City, all the mayors from all the towns, of course, police, and again, I'm very, very sorry on account of, who else? Oh, well, the Council of the Magi, naturally.
The Council of Magi.
That's right, dear.
The same council who brought me up here?
Yes.
They're all there?
Yes. Blipped in this evening in all their finery. My God, you should see some of the dresses these witches is wearing. I swear, if I ever make lieutenant, I want a whole wardrobe full of those.
Rosa slams the talking genital holder back on reception, her forehead breaking out in a sweat. You watch her, your tiny heart pounding, as nervously she excavates a cigarette from her hip pocket and lights it with trembling hands. At reception, the girl puts down her magazine again. Miss, you can't smoke in here. Are you done with the phone? Rosa nods, and the girl clicks her fingers at the jockstrap on the counter. The dust clinging to it dissipates instantly. She flings it into the back room without even looking, her eyes still fixed on your companion, waiting for her to extinguish her smoke. The detective puts the cigarette out on the sole of her sneaker. Just then, the girl's attention is caught by something over by the aquarium, and for the first time tonight, she shows some mild enthusiasm. Oh my God, Jackie, you fucking did it! Oh my God! She rises from her seat and comes out round from behind the desk, scuffing her knee-high boots across the floor as she goes. By the vibrant blue light of the aquarium, she comes to a stop and puts her hand flat to the glass. As you and Rosa watch on, one of the saddled seahorses flaps its tiny fins and swims vertically up to rest level with the teenager's eyeline. Around its neck, the seahorse, whose starfish jockey has dismounted, wears a tiny gold medal. It speaks, and bubbles ploop 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 from its mouth to break on the surface of the wall tank. Oh, is he your... You blurt out in an excited squeak. Familiar? Asks the girl. Well, duh. It's hardly gonna be one of those losers, is it, Jackie? She nods toward the corral of seahorses swimming dejectedly away from the race's underwater finish line, as her amphibious familiar and she laugh like a pair of consorting schoolgirls. Huh, you say. Only I was just thinking how I'd never seen a fish familiar before. Jackie's not a fish, you moron, scoffs the receptionist. She's a seahorse. Jackie bubbles something to her companion. Well, okay, so she is a fish, but a special one, you know? Anyway, lots of people have underwater familiars, okay? It's not a big deal. Oh, no, I was just curious. I mean, how'd you ever go anyplace? She can't exactly travel in your pocket like I do with mine. You try a polite laugh, but the girl's glower is gloomier than the growing storm outside. Lady, is your hamster dull or something? Obviously I can't take Jackie with me. You let the hamster comment slide, when from across the room you see the watery sheen of the girl's black eyes. But then, you continue, what about your powers? Don't you lose your magic when uses a pot? The girl sniffs. Oh my God, are you serious? Why do you think I chose a job in a place with an aquarium for a wall? How can you even say that? Offended, the girl turns her attention back to her seahorse compadre. Jackie, don't even listen to him, babe. I will never leave you, okay? An awkward silence fills the room.
Wait,
says Rosa after a while, stroking her chin.
so you can get rid of your magic just as easy as that?
The receptionist doesn't answer. She's too busy celebrating her familiar's win. Something in the way Rosa asked the question jerked your stomach. Well, it's not easy. You laugh nervously. It would mean, it would be horrible. No more magic for her, no more sentience for her familiar. She'd probably be banished from the cloud world, Rosa. I've never heard of a mage. But you can tell from the glassiness of Rosa's eyes that she's stopped listening. You clear your throat.
Detective, don't we gotta get a move on?
Oh shit, right. City Hall?
City Hall.
Rosa leaves the laconic reception girl by her fish tank and opens the door to Mary Sue's.
You know the way, right?
She asks you, as the pair of you step out into the night.
You know, Rosalia, I don't think it's gonna be too hard to find.
At the corner of the botel, right where you'd watch the blonde-haired, cloud-sucking witch swish by in the moonlight, the sky is fractured open. Hot, golden light seeps through the crack, about 3 foot wide and widening. It looks from this angle like a pathway, a yellow brick road of sorts, and from where you stand, it turns sharply, powering off between the moored townships of La Ville de Nuages, heading directly north to where, in the dim distance, a score of fireworks and music punctuate the night. The streets of La Ville de Nuages are buckling at the seams. Ripple effects from the giant gashes in the cloud base have upset the careful anchorages of those townships closest to the rift. And down every street you see a handful of boats crashed together, up in flames or losing elevation. Everywhere you turn, residents of La Ville are conjuring great plumes of water as fast as they can to douse the flames, or blipping anything not nailed to the floor out of sinking ships in a desperate attempt to keep them afloat. Mages and magicians, wizards, witches and warlocks cry in anguish as the ethereal staples they've summoned to pull the sky back together stretch and tear, burst off and ping away. All the while, the fissure the blonde witch has carved continues to grow wider. To look into the rift is perplexing. By the time you reach City Hall, it has grown to about 2 stories wide, and now the bright golden light is diffuse enough for you to discern some shapes through it. What you see is another world. A world like a mirror image of this one, except where La Ville de Nuages is a place of perpetual purplish night. The world within the rift is light and airy, blue-skied and golden palisaded, vibrant, full of colour. And though there are few buildings to see, nor ships, vehicles or people, what you do see is dust. Acres, eons and oodles of this stuff, enough dust to turn everyone in this world, including all of the humans below, into the most powerful magi you could possibly imagine. The thought is at once exhilarating and terrifying. All around Rosa's cockboat, the clouds tingle with thunderous energy. Here and there, the electricity breaks out in a flash of lightning, and it's impossible to tell whether the showers of white heat penetrate the expanding rift or come from it. The air is tantalizing, your breath fast and short. You can taste the tension on your tongue. Sirens wailing, a nervous Detective Inspector Dubois pulls up below the steps of City Hall, and a little ways from the edge of a moat-like fracture cleaved around the giant municipal ship, unmooring it from the fabric of the universe. From your police cruiser, all either of you can do is watch as the whole edifice sinks further into the place of dust and colour.
Fuck!
Says Rosa at last, breaking the silence.
I don't know what to do, Ig. We can't get in there now, not with that thing between us.
She lights a smoke.
I'm the only damn police on duty and I don't know what to do.
You lower your eyes.
Well, Rosa, what if we run?
What?
I'm just saying, what if we get out of here? Call it a day. Start a life somewhere new, just me and you.
Rosa's face is white, her teeth clenched, her brows furrowed. In her eyes, you see no love.
You fucking kidding me, pig? What would I want with another life up here? With you? I'm already useless as a police. You know, you were right, Igor. I ain't no magic user. Not no born and bred one. I've been here 6 months and I can't cast a simple detection spell without alerting the whole town to it. I can't brew a cup of joe unless I've got a kettle. I can't make a damn phone call without some teenage bubble punk lending me a freaking ball bag from the damn lost and found. I ain't a magic detective, Ig. I'm barely a regular one. I'm a freak. An oddball, an outcast. I'm an earther. No wonder I got you as a familiar. I don't belong here, Iggy. I'd never have. I just want to go home. Just want to go back to where shit like this happens only in fairy tales.
Just then, a peal of thunder explodes all around you, followed by a wail of molten lightning. When finally your eyes adjust to the light, you see a black mass of cloud approach, skittering and jumping with energy, glittering all over as if made from crushed gemstone. To the rear of Rosa's dinghy, the Cloud Witch stands on her throne of frozen atmosphere. When she opens her mouth to speak, the sky speaks with her.
Detective Rosa Dubois, I presume.
She laughs, and the noise is deafening.
Ha ha! I couldn't have put it better myself.
The witch is tall, inhumanly tall. Standing now in front of you and your companion, you realise you've never seen a larger human. She must tower over 9 feet, yet her limbs are not gangly. Her body is measured, balanced. She seems sure on her feet, or rather, within her crackling cloud of opalescent dust. When you'd spotted this woman from the mast of Mary Sue's, you'd thought her eyes were blue. But now you see that they are in fact lit from within by an electric energy. The same energy pulses with her heartbeat along the veins below her skin so that, where it is exposed, you see her porcelain epidermis throbbing with a spiderweb of blue light. Her hair is not blonde either, but bleached of colour, flying up and out behind her Medusa-like in the caustic static of the night sky. It whips as the flaps of her jacket do in the wind whistling from beyond the rift. Her countenance is more terrifying, you imagine, than even the worst nightmares concocted by the men who had, in times gone by, burned innocent girls by the fistful down on earth. And yet, there is something about her which is darker and more unsettling still. There is an emptiness about her, a coldness in the eyes as she catches yours, and you see a flicker of unfamiliarity, of dissonance. What are you? You wonder. The witch towers over your and Rosa's redundant little spacecraft, streams of cloud pouring from her nostrils. Slowly, shakily, Rosa reaches for the cuffs tucked into the waistband of her trousers.
Not yet, Rosa,
You hiss.
she's too powerful. No, Rosa, don't!
But either the detective can't hear you, or she has chosen to ignore you once again, because her fingers are still crawling toward the police cuffs. The witch snarls. Rosa's arm spasms suddenly. You hear a dull crack deep within the confines of your companion's coat as the breath is thumped from Rosa's chest. The detective's moan is that of a beaten dog. A moment later, the pair of you are flung to the deck of your patrol boat.
Not so fast, Miss Dubois.
Sneers the witch. With a flick of the wrist, Rosa's handcuffs are yanked free of her belt. The witch snatches them mid-air, turns them in her giant hand, and then crushes them to dust. A grin across her face like the sliver of a pale moon.
You should have listened to your little guinea pig, Miss Dubois.
The witch's eyes lower from Rosa's to yours again, and in your heart you feel the chill of perfect loneliness. Out of all the beings living up here among the clouds, in that moment, it is as if none but you exist, and it is as if your existence was wrought to serve a sole purpose, as a curio on exhibit in the museum of the witch's cruel and desolate mind, as an object for her madness to ponder. Rosa grunts.
If I'd have listened to him, you would have gotten away with this,
she says, scrabbling to her feet, her left arm limp by her side. She gestures to City Hall, falling slowly into the bright abyss.
If I'd listened to him, we would have fled like cowards.
Ha!
Laughs the witch.
Exactly. It would seem your familiar has more sense than 10 of you, Miss Dubois. Thankfully, you did not listen, and you have saved me the trouble of pursuing you across this,
she looks out toward the horizon,
unfortunate land.
I don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
Rosa has to raise her voice to be heard above the battling clouds.
But I'm going to tell you this once, and once only. Cease and desist. Repair the damage you've done here, and I might still go lenient on you when it comes to putting you behind bars.
Enough!
The witch's cry stops Rosa's words in her throat. Your companion's heartbeat, thrumming like a hummingbird, crashes to a halt, skips a beat, stutters.
I had suspected the anomaly might not be aware of its impact, but I had never imagined it would be quite so arrogant. Repair the damage? What do you think I'm doing? You are the damage, Rosa Dubois. You!
But
You just what? You just thought it was normal to wake up magic one day? Thought it was normal for a human born to walk among the clouds? You thought you could put me in your feeble chains and stabilize an imbalance spanning millennia?
I don't know what you're...
He means the rift, Rosa,
You whisper.
the division. Ah, the animal catches on faster than the human.
Says the witch to herself, shaking her head.
But then,
Says Rosa, choosing her words carefully.
are you saying you've done this before? Torn the sky like this?
The witch's face drops.
You imbecile. I have done nothing. The veil between our worlds is thin. When it tears like this, it is I, and only I, who has the power to repair it. And I have done so too many times before. It was a mistake to think I could allow those of you changed by your so-called division to go on living here. I see that now. I should have brought them back through the rift with me, as soon as our dust took hold. But humans are so fickle. They always have been. The Jewish preacher, the Arab, the fat man from the east, all of them.
Her hand trembling with electric blue, the witch flicks her wrist toward the sinking city hall, and it lurches further into the breach. From within, you hear a chorus of screams. Too late, the revelers have realized their fate.
Your precious council were given permission to use my world's magic on one condition. That, unlike those come before them, they separate themselves from the humans of the earth. I made them swear that they would be the only ones of this world to wield and to know of our power. And yet, here you stand, evidence of their malfeasance. The first of their experiments in changing those below. The first and the last. Now you will come with me. You all must come with me. It is the only way.
La Ville de Nuages is a vision of the end times. From Rosa's pocket, you are able to look out past the witch's cloudcraft, back in the direction of town, where fires rage, burning the cloud cover away to reveal the terrible gleam of stars in the distance. The flashing greens and blues of spellfire clash and distort the very fabric of space as rioters take to the streets in droves. Townships crash in the panic of a hasty exodus. The hoots of those relishing the destruction mingle with the wails of the mourners, becoming an orchestra of depravity and grief. You think about your mother then, your 216 siblings. You think of your home beyond the clouds, and you hope that you will meet them on the other side, provided they survive the coming ordeal. You wish for them not to see this chaos coming, that they and their companions can embrace the end in blissful ignorance. And then it clicks, and you know what it is that the witch is keeping from you. You take a deep breath. You clear your throat. Rosa is too dazed to hear you, but the witch cocks her beautiful head, tilting her ear toward you.
Except it's not the only way, though, is it? I mean, there's another way to close the rift, isn't there?
The witch's expression changes. Her ivory eyebrows sink. Her cheeks grow hollow. Her smile fades. She lowers her eyes from yours, watching the sky below instead.
Wait,
Rosa perks up.
there's another way. Why didn't you say so? What is it?
The witch sighs a heavy, tired sigh. She turns a palm upward, and for the moment, City Hall appears to stall in its descent. When finally she speaks, the witch looks not at Rosa, but at you. Familiar Igor, guinea pig detective, Cavia Porcellus of the clouds.
That is not something I would put anyone through. Not again. It is better you all come with me back to my world. There at least you can exist as you do now, together, content, powerful.
Rosa scoffs, and your heart sinks.
Jesus Christ, witch lady, let's not mince our words here. If there's some way we can go about this which doesn't involve sucking several 100,000 souls into another dimension, I think we should at least consider it.
The witch shakes her head.
No, not again. Come through the rift and the balance will be corrected. It will close. Of that I am certain.
But this is their home.
Scoffs Rosa.
And I don't want to be living in the clouds, let alone another world.
Be that as it may, this way is at least peaceful.
Oh, aye.
Rosa spins around, gesticulating wildly in the direction of the rioters, looting La Ville de Nuages with an easy zeal. The witch shrugs.
I cannot be held responsible for the vanity of humans, even magic ones. But trust me, this way at least they will remain magic. I will not sever another. Not again.
Another?
Asks Rosa. The witch sighs again.
Do you know of the preacher?
She asks.
What?
The one you call Christ.
I mean, technically I'm agnostic, but sure.
You have heard of his crucifixion.
Sure, but I'm not sure what any of this has got to do with...
It was I who had the man crucified.
Fuck off!
Laughs Rosa. Your heart is in your stomach, for you know where this story is going. The witch frowns in response to the detective's callousness.
It was the only way I could remove his magic from him. He would not have given it up.
She exhales a breath of cloud, and its deathly pallor grips your mind like a song, the shade of grey.
He would not have given up his familiar otherwise.
For the first time in what feels like forever, Rosa remembers you. But the look she gives is far from reassuring.
What do you mean?
I mean that the man refused to come with me. He believed the gift of our magic to be his by divine right, and he would not follow me through the rift. But the rift is not a pearled gateway between humanity and God. It is a barrier protecting what is yours and what is ours, and it needed closing. I tried the only thing I could think to try, to take his magic from him by way of taking his familiar.
You mean?
I mean that the rift can be closed if the one whose magic opened it renounces their power.
You look up into Detective Rosa Dubois' face and watch her eyes sparkle. You've lost your voice. Your stomach twists in vomitous knots whilst stars wheel across your fraying vision.
What happened to them?
Your companion asks.
To whom?
To Jesus? To Muhammad, I presume? To the fat man in the east? We call him Buddha, but...
I tried to take the magic of the one you call Christ, attempted to sever him from his familiar, rendering him mortal and his familiar a meek, unconscious beast. In the end, the threat of separation, the thought of the pain, caused him and the others to rethink their position. In the end, all of them came with me to the world beyond the sky, and there flourished alongside their animal companions. I believe it served their ends here in your world all the same. Do not the earthlings believe in transcendence now? In rebirth, in resurrection, in the night journey?
Huh.
Says Rosa.
But what if they had given up their magic?
You mean if they had given up their familiars?
Exactly.
The witch avoids your gaze.
Then they would have stayed on Earth as humans, magicless, severed from that ancient and most profound of bonds between they and their intimate.
But they would have solved everything, right? Closed the rift, made everything right again?
The witch is lost for words. You feel faint.
I suppose so, Miss Dubois. But they did not have to. They lived lives, full and happy. They
Okay.
With a final crack of thunder, the storm falls suddenly silent. Clouds stop streaming from the witch's mouth, and only the soft crackle of distant flames break the stillness.
Okay.
Whispers the witch, startled by the quiet.
Okay. As in, okay. As in, I renounce my magic.
Rosa laughs, her shoulders free of weight.
I'm not built for this world anyway. I didn't ask for it.
In a tiny voice, scared, shivering, you squeak, "Rosa!" By the scruff of your neck, the earthling detective plucks you from her coat pocket. She places you on the edge of her boat, level with her eyeline. She smiles warmly.
Igor, my pal, we've had some good times, had some laughs, but it's simple C. We've got to do what's best for these folks. Best for both of us. I'm just not supposed to be here. Never was. Didn't you hear what Miss Witchy over there said? I'm an experiment. An accident.
She scoffs.
But Rosa...
Your voice is smaller than a raindrop in an ocean of clouds.
Shh.
Hushes your companion.
It's okay. It'll be okay. You know I was never going to fit in here. This way I can go back to what I know, and you, well, witchy Wanda here makes her world sound real nice.
Rosa, but please.
It's okay, Iggy.
But I love you, Rosa.
Hey, I know you do, pal.
Ever since I was born, I feel like I've been waiting for you.
But Rosa's smile is too wide, too much for you to contend with.
It's going to be okay, Iggy. You'll forget all about me. All about everything. You can just be a happy guinea pig in a happy guinea pig world.
Rosa.
Before you know what's happening, Rosa has risen to her feet, bringing you with her by the scruff of your neck. Instinctually, primally, your vocal cords cry out a sorry bleat, a wailing of squeaks and chittering fear. Dizzy and disorientated, you look down. You watch as you are swung out over the deck of the boat, until all that's below you is a great tear in the sky, and beyond that, the terrible luminance of a new world. And then, you are falling. Dropped, untethered, spinning and somersaulting, plummeting like a stone from the hand of the one you once called fate, life, love. As you fall, you pass through the deep purple of la Ville de Nuages and emerge in blinding sunlight. A cloudscape equal to that above, but of pinks and yellows, blushed peaches and emptiness. As the sky of another world rises to meet you, you turn your head and look back toward home. Your chest heaves with a frenetic heaviness, the plunging, drowning, sickly separation of heartbreak. You cry out. Pain. You have never known such pain. Above you, you watch the great rupture in the sky begin to knit itself back together, begin healing, rewriting itself as a world in which you never existed, a world in which no detective ever needed you, ever wanted you. It rewrites itself as your brain now does, tearing at your consciousness, muddying your mind, erasing your thought. And then the rift is closed, and still you are falling, your vision fading, your heart rate slowing. And as the fleeting image of you nestled against Rosa's sleeping cheek slips from remembrance, and your heart swells to bursting, you are gone. Thank you for listening to this month's Story from the Hearth, and thank you to Jen Anderson for providing voice work for the character of Detective Inspector Rosa Dubois. I hope you liked this episode. I hope you liked my first foray into the sort of world of magic. I mean, I know we had that fantasy story Cave Worm where there was obviously the evil sort of wizards of the elven town, but I feel like this one is the first story where magic kind of takes a front seat, and it's most definitely the first story that can be seen as crime fiction. Not a genre I usually read, let alone write, so I'd love to know what you think about it. If you liked what you heard, please do subscribe and share this podcast with friends, family, and anyone you know who could use just a half hour's respite from the chaotic energies of the everyday. You can also now rate podcasts on Spotify, so if you're listening to it there, why not drop us some stars? If you wish to support the podcast, please head to my Patreon by hitting the link in the description down below or by heading to patreon.com/Stories from the Hearth podcast. Similarly, you can check out the podcast's Instagram, Twitter, website, brand new, and email address via the links below. Drop me a message if there's a specific genre you'd like to hear a story from, if you want to know more about the podcast, or if you'd like to get involved with it. My inbox is always open. Story episodes are released on the last Sunday of every month. Additional episodes in The Wandering Bard historical mini-series will pop up from time to time. Until next we meet around the fire, I've been Cal Bannerman, and you've been listening to Stories from the Hearth.